FAN EXPO Philadelphia is back this April 8th through the 10th at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Center City, Philadelphia. It's the first big pop culture fan convention since 2019. I'm very happy to have Andrew Moyes, the Vice President of FAN EXPO HQ, as my guest on today's episode of Press Conference to tell us about this new version of a fan favorite that many of us have missed a great deal in the past 2 years. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. I have found that my career in public relations is my true vocation, telling the stories of my clients and colleagues in a compelling way to drive sales, membership, and awareness. If you ever have any questions about the role public relations can play in your business or in your career, I would be happy to share my thoughts and experiences with you. Please feel free to contact me directly, either by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com or by cell phone or text message at 215-266-5943. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. My guest today, Andrew Moyes, is Vice President of FAN EXPO HQ, a division of global events leader Informa based in Toronto. As he has described it, FAN EXPO is a celebration of fandom for lovers of anime, sci-fi, horror, gaming, comics, and more, which began as a niche community and is now one of North America's most influential group of events. FAN EXPO takes over the biggest exhibition centers in major cities across Canada and the United States. The upcoming FAN EXPO Philadelphia begins Friday, April 8th and continues through Sunday, April 10th, with special celebrity guests, including William Shatner, Ming-Na Wen, Michael Rooker, Carl Weathers, and many more talented actors, artists, creators, and performers from the worlds of pop culture, including Star Wars, Star Trek, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Extended Universe, and other realms of science fiction, fantasy, drama, comedy, comic books, graphic novels, you name it. Prior to becoming a VP in 2017, Andrew was involved as the show director for multiple FAN EXPO events in Canada for 2 years and came on board the company as a senior manager in 2010. He is a graduate of the University of Sydney with a bachelor's degree in economics. Andrew, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today, and as I mentioned before we started taping, I'm thrilled to have you on the show, and I'm very much looking forward to FAN EXPO Philadelphia. Welcome to the show, and if you would, tell me how you first got involved in putting together FAN EXPO events and what Philadelphia is going to look like for us.
Yeah, well, look, thanks, Jim, so much for the warm welcome, and thank you for supporting us on the show. These events are driven by passion, but more importantly, they're driven by community. So we're really grateful to all of our key community partners that are helping us bring this event back. I had an interesting introduction to the world of fandom. You mentioned our parent company earlier, Informa PLC, the largest producer of events globally. They identified an opportunity within this pop culture convention space back almost in 2013 when they acquired an event in Toronto, FAN EXPO Canada. This, of course, remains our flagship event. It's the third largest event in North America after, of course, the wondrous San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and then it's us, FAN EXPO Canada. FAN EXPO Canada is an incredible success story that speaks to the innovation and tenacity of our founder and now president, Aman Gupta. He founded this event almost 25 years ago, and we were very lucky to bring it into the Informa business, as I say, back in 2013. So when we acquired that event, it was brand new to all of us. I was actually working in more of an art and design portfolio at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I had absolutely no idea what I was in for when I started walking the floor of a Comic-Con. And what's happened over the past few years has been a lot of learning and an introduction to an incredible community that is so welcoming and so supportive. So that was really the start of it for me. I started part-time on that side of the business. and after a couple of years moved over full-time simply because there was some great opportunity, and also, as I say, the community and the passion-driven events are really, really infectious.
It's true. And I came to working with Fan Expo Philadelphia through being a fan, being a Comic-Con goer in my youth and in my early career, and having the good fortune of having a colleague of mine, Joe Favorito, ask if I knew anybody in Philadelphia who could handle PR for a Comic-Con event, and anybody that knew anything about comic books and pop culture. And I said, well, there's me. And that was in 2010, I believe. And it's been a pleasure to work with the group over the last several years. And you mentioned something in your just a moment ago about community. And what I think is really neat about what's going to be happening in Philadelphia in April 8th through 10th is that we've been in the dark for almost 3 years now in the Philadelphia region. We haven't had many events that we could look forward to. We haven't had many opportunities to share a good time with people. And I think Fan Expo Philadelphia is coming in at the perfect time to reinvigorate the community of fans, reinvigorate the community of people in this region who love pop culture, love the Marvel movies, they love the DC movies, they love the shows on the CW and things like that. And they read comic books, or they're comic book fans or collectors, all these different people who have come together over the last 20 years and become like this real community, as you describe. This will be a great chance for them to come together again and reconnect with people.
Very much so. I mean, we produce a number of these events now across North America. We were very lucky last year to have a very busy second half of the year. We delivered 6 or 7 events, I think, in about 4 months of various sizes. So we're back in the swing of things, but we know that different areas have been coming back at different speeds. And I think you're absolutely right. The show is coming at a time where we're reaping the rewards of all the hard work that everyone's done to stay safe and keep the community safe, where there is a great momentum on reopening. There's a great momentum on getting back to business as usual. And that definitely has paved the way for what will be truly an incredible celebration. And in many ways, one thing that was different about those events last year is people always talk about the celebrities. People always talk about the creators and the big names coming to these shows. And while that is obviously a really big element, for me, what was a big change is really truly the fans became the stars of the show as we're coming back, because it's electric. The energy on the show floor is truly electric. Friends and friendships that are built on the show floor, and people that haven't seen each other, as you say, for almost 3 years. Our vendors, local businesses that haven't had the opportunity to meet with their customers in almost 2 to 3 years are now reconnecting. They're bringing new products. So it truly is a resurgence, and it's a welcome celebration, as you say, for all of us who haven't been able to celebrate together for far too long.
I think what's really neat too, Andrew, is, and you mentioned kind of coming from a creative arts background, putting on events and working with different people in those areas, the diversity of the people who come to these events, the diversity of the people who are at the events, either as attendees or celebrity guests or vendors or performers. It really is an interesting cross-section of fandom, but also of society. I think it's one of those things that I've seen grow, especially in the last 10 years or so. But what do you think has been the change in this type of business? We look at Fan Expo Philadelphia, and it is a business, but it's also kind of this social network, if you will. What do you think has spurred the growth of that over the last 10 years or so?
Well, I think conventions initially, I think as you said earlier, were really a place for nerds and geeks to come and feel safe.
Yes.
To feel comfortable, to celebrate almost as outsiders in many ways. I think one of the biggest changes is that now is quite in vogue. You know, as you say, there's so many fans of the Marvel, DC universes. You look at other platforms like Netflix, Disney. I mean, they all have these fandom-driven shows on their platforms now, and they're some of the biggest shows. So I think that popularity has broadened, and I think fandom, too, has become a lot more multidimensional. It used to be that you were a fan of comics, or you were a fan of sci-fi, and people sort of worked within those silos.
Right.
I think what our events open up for fans is this multi-channel element of fandom. So a lot of our fans, they might come in as a comic fan, but they'll leave as a comic fan and a sci-fi fan. Or they'll come in as a gaming fan, and they may go out, you know, as a fan of cosplay as well. So we're really working to build multi-genre fans that come not only to experience and celebrate their primary genre, but also they get exposed to all these other genres. And I think another piece that's really important to know is I'm always stopped by people who say, I didn't think there'd be anything here for me. I didn't think that this would be my show. And I'm talking families, I'm talking, you know, a broad cross-section of people that you may not think you would find at a Comic-Con. And I think I'm an example of that as well. As I say, I don't come from a fandom background necessarily, but I'm now entrenched and passionate about this community. We have incredible family-friendly programming. We have after-hours programming. So there truly is something for everyone. And if you didn't think you were a fan, you may just discover that you are when you come down and experience the celebration at the convention center.
And what's interesting too, as you said, Andrew, you may not think you're a fan, but there's something in the roster of events and appearances and panels and special performances that there's literally something for everyone. And I know in my wife's case, she really didn't pay any attention to this stuff for the longest time. And then the first time I brought her with me to a con, she wanted to be there all day. She wanted to come again and again and again. And I have friends like that too. So I think you're right. You gain converts very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can learn the behind the scenes, exciting stories, and that's always exciting too. When you go, I mean, all the celebrities that are coming will do a dedicated Q&A panel. And you never quite know what's going to happen. You know, it's that electric sort of unpredictable nature of those performances. But there's workshops. There's, as I say, shopping is a huge driver. So you can come, you can shop, you can learn, and you can really celebrate with your fellow fans. So it's really a recipe for a great full weekend.
Very cool. Well, I have a few more questions for you, Andrew, but we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more from Andrew Moyes and FAN EXPO Philadelphia in just a minute.
We're Dr. Mark and Liz from Marriage Matters, a show that inspires, instills hope, and empowers couples to weather the stresses of married life.
Join us each week to hear how couples, real couples like you, have overcome challenges that were hurting their marriages, as well as getting expert advice on ways to nurture a happy and healthy relationship.
Tune in Fridays at 4:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on RVN TV.
The new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich with brioche buns, mayo, pickles, and a quarter-pound filet as far as the eye can see. Get comfy, it's gonna be a while. This thing's huge. Get the new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich for just $3.99. It's finger-licking good.
Have you heard? Join me, Heather Darling, weekly for a different spin on politics, business, law, and other key issues you will not want to miss right here on RVN TV.
Look at this crazy calzone from those brainiacs at Little Caesars.
Is it more pizza or more calzone?
Pizza. Calzone. Confused. Pizza. Pizza. Calzone.
We're not Big Pizza, we're Little Caesars. The new crazy calzone for $8.49.
Pizza.
You're still in here?
Oh, yeah.
You're really good.
Perfect timing. Your turn. Nintendo Switch. That's my way to play.
Welcome back to Press Conference. I'm Jim DeLorenzo, and my guest today is Andrew Moyes, Vice President of FAN EXPO, live with us from Toronto. And we're talking about the FAN EXPO Philadelphia that's coming up this April 8th through the 10th at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Center City, Philadelphia. Andrew, as alluded to earlier, this show has been coming to Philadelphia since 2001, and it's had a 2-year layoff, obviously, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The last time there was an event of this size in Philadelphia was the summer of 2019. And since FAN EXPO has now taken on the Philadelphia market and working with what had been called Wizard World Philadelphia, can you tell me about some of the things that FAN EXPO is bringing that are new and exciting and kind of like really increase the level of engagement and opportunities for fans?
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible infrastructure that we were able to pick up from our colleagues now that built this event in Philadelphia. As you say, over 10 years of incredible programming, and it's a brand and an event that I think the community still very much holds close and dear. And that's so important for us. That is definitely a mantle that we are feeling the responsibility of picking up, and we look to be very true to as we continue to present this event. A lot of people still haven't quite made that connection that FAN EXPO Philadelphia is the Wizard World event that they used to know and love. What more can we bring, or are we bringing? We certainly, as the largest producer of Comic-Cons globally, have some incredible relationships on the talent side. And I would like to think that some of the names that you see on the roster this year are definitely new and exciting based on the relationships that we have as a business. I mean, David Tennant, number one, is just an incredible guest that does not appear that often. Again, I think through our relationships, we're able to leverage these appearances for the fans so everyone can truly get to meet their heroes. We have an incredible content team that is looking to drive more engagement and more to do for the whole weekend. After hours activities, more engaging content on the show floor to really reinvent the Comic-Con experience. So it's coming back really revitalized. And of course, our exhibitor team is doing an extraordinary job at bringing a really wonderful mix of product to the show floor, not only with our retailers who have incredible collectibles, but also our Artist Alley. Artist Alley is an incredible attraction on the show floor that has hundreds of creative artists, crafters, who are creating those one-of-a-kind items that you're not going to find anywhere else. So really it's about creating those once-in-a-lifetime experiences that's going to give all of our fans who come down to see us those bragging rights when they go back to their everyday lives to say, look at what I found, guess what I experienced, guess who I met. And as I say, to really create those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for them to meet their heroes and celebrate fandom together.
I think that's a really neat aspect of it, Andrew, is that telling people about it afterwards and saying, I got to do this, or I got to see this person, or I met so-and-so. That has always been something that stands out in my mind, and I have 20 years worth of experiences where I point to this was memorable, this was memorable. When you first started working with the Fan Expo, what was one of the first moments that you might have had that kind of like opened your eyes to something new?
We were very lucky over the past few years to manage a number of Stan Lee's final appearances. I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to meet Stan Lee or to, have an audience with him, if you will. But that's something that always will stay with me. Truly, he was like a modern day Walt Disney. He created the characters, he championed them, and just the popularity. And not only that, but the way these characters have helped fans just in their everyday lives to find strength, purpose, belonging, and excitement as well. Hearing him speak, hearing of his creative process, and then seeing the impact that he had on the fans when they came to meet him and share their stories of how, as I said, those characters helped them, have inspired them, is really a benchmark for me of that celebrity experience.
Wow.
Because he always gave the fans an incredible experience. He was truly an icon. And that, as I say, will always be a benchmark for me when I look at that opportunity that fans have to meet their heroes.
Sure. Well, that's great. That's a great anecdote. I really appreciate that. What are some of the things that you mentioned? Some after-hours events and some almost like a festival atmosphere that we're going to have at the Pennsylvania Convention Center April 8th through the 10th. What are some of the things that you hope fans will take away, or fans who are listening to this or hearing about the show before we get there? What are some of the things that you want them to know that they can come and do that they can't do anywhere else? And this is something that's been kind of like pent up demand in Philadelphia and South Jersey for 2 years now.
Well, look, if you haven't been to a convention, then what I will say is you've got to plan. And if you haven't been into a convention in 3 years, you may be out of practice. So let me just remind you, you have to plan. And that really means going to our website, fanexpophiladelphia.com, and looking through all the pages. We'll be dropping our draft schedule in a couple of weeks. So that's where you can go on our Facebook page and look at the draft schedule that we've put together. We actually rely on the community to help us by saying, this is aligned with that. I want to go to both of these things, etc. And all those comments help us finesse our schedule to put together a final schedule that should serve 99% of the tastes and needs of everyone coming to the event. But the website really will have all of our guests. It'll have all of the programming segmented by genre. So it's truly the one-stop shop to planning your visit. We also have the app, which I encourage everyone to download. We load on some things just leading up to the event, like the exhibitor map and exhibitor listings and things like that. So there are two key things that you have to have in your kit when you're coming to the show. In terms of exciting, newer items, I am excited about the Clerks panel with Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. They'll be doing their Jay and Silent Bob live show, which is always hysterical and great fun. But they're also doing photo ops in character, which they haven't done before. So for fans of Jay and Silent Bob, that's really a once in a lifetime opportunity there.
That's
and
neat.
Too, Kevin Smith very rarely signs autographs, and he will be signing them at the show over the 8th to the 10th. So that's another unique opportunity that you will get if you're a fan there. I think, the iconic William Shatner is going to be with us, as you mentioned earlier, fresh from space, and truly one of the great trained classic actors who has a one-man show that he's done for many years globally. And you get a taste of that too. You never quite know what version of the show you'll get because there's so many stories that he has from his extraordinary, illustrious career. So to hear him speak is always a treat. And again, I think, it's that shopping. Everyone that comes to the event really loves to pick up those unique, one-of-a-kind items that you just won't find anywhere else, or the opportunity to add to your collection as well. So I really encourage everyone, as I say, to check out the website, to plan your approach, and leave a few hours flexible for those things that you'll discover on site.
Yeah, that's the neat thing about it is you can find something that you weren't planning on, or something you didn't expect, or something that just all of a sudden happens in the moment, and it really adds to the memories of the event. Andrew, I really thank you for taking time with me today to talk about FAN EXPO Philadelphia and a little bit about your background, and I really am looking forward to meeting you in person in Philadelphia in a couple weeks, I should say. And I encourage viewers to take a look at the fanexpophiladelphia.com website, download the app, follow them on social media. They're on all the platforms, and you can find out more there. But and hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you in person when, as fans as well, because I plan on being there the whole time. Andrew, thank you again very much for your time, and I look forward to FAN EXPO Philadelphia, April 8th to the 10th at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Center City, Philadelphia. If you have any questions about our show today or any of our shows here on RVN TV, please feel free to drop me a line at jim@jhdenterprises.com or give me a phone call at 215-266-5943. I always look forward to speaking with you, and I hope to see you all again here very, very soon. Thanks again.